Hello there, so glad you have decided to join us for another viewing of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Adrian Atkinson. Today, we observe World Asthma Day under the theme, Asthma Education Empowers. And as we go about our day, let us also remember that May is Child Month. There's more after this, so stay with us.
Good day, I'm Theodore Henry, and this is your JIS News for Tuesday, May 7, 2024. The Montego Bay Free Zone Company Limited, MBFZ, will spend $83 million to continue upgrading its facilities in the 2024-2025 financial year. The capital expenditure was outlined in the Jamaica Public Body's estimates of revenue and expenditure for the financial year ending March 2025. Works include the installation and construction of turnstile equipment for pedestrians, a perimeter wall, and other supporting infrastructure work. Montego Bay Free Zone Company Limited will also be enhancing its overall communications to improve the awareness of its commercial activities. This will be done through participation in international events, engagements in social marketing initiatives, and by conducting local missions in the current financial year. The company will also strengthen its facilitating role by fostering new investments from local and overseas investors to operate new outsourcing centers. It's expected that the MBFZ's security and administrative processes will also be enhanced with the implementation of new systems. There is a renewed call for all members of society to protect our children and build communities of hope and inspiration that promote respect for life. Government Ministers Marcia Smith and Desmond McKenzie made the appeal Sunday at the Kingston and St. Andrew Municipal Corporation KSAMC Child Month service in memory of children who died in violent circumstances.
Stand up, speak out, protect the rights of our children. It's a call to order, it's a charge, and it's given to each and every one of us. If we ignore that call, we will imperil our nation. It is a call to secure the peace of Jamaica. We must therefore stand up for our children and keep them from harm. We must speak out for their welfare and their well-being. Let us all protect the rights of our children because they are all our godly heritage.
Let us become more responsible. As parents, we have a role to play. As members of the community, we have a role to play. As elected representatives, we also have more than a role to play. We must set examples for our young people to follow.
The KSAMC will be hosting month-long activities in observance of Child Month under the theme, Stand Up, Speak Out, Protect the Rights of Our Children. Keeping the focus on our children, the Ministry of National Security is assuring students at the Grange Hill High School and community members in Westmoreland of government's continued efforts to maintain peace and safety in society. Portfolio Minister Dr. Horace Chang said the security force will continue to leverage the support of its case management officers who have been assigned to the school to provide further support to students. Dr. Horace Chang and the team visited the school on Friday following the murder of 16-year-old student Carson Bennett.
I want to assure the public and your parents and you coming to school that you can come to school safely and come here. Pay attention to the work you have to do in your class and come out, leave Grangehill a better person when you go into the world of work or to a professional training. Not fearful when you walk out of the gate.
Meanwhile, Commissioner of Police Dr. Kevin Blake also reassured the students of the JCF's role to protect them.
Criminality and gangsterism is not cool. It is not cool. Let me assure you that you will not be taking this journey on your own. We are here for you and we will be here with you. We have subsequently added an additional school resource officer. We are redefining the school resource officer's role and responsibility to include being part of things like your Parents Teachers Association meetings, to have tips for you, and to consistently encourage students not to get involved in violence, and how to actually deal with conflicts that you have among yourself inside school.
Meanwhile, Minister of Education and Youth Favour Williams was among several individuals and organizations who reinforced the importance of reading as they engaged children in celebration of Read Across Jamaica Day today. This year's staging is being observed under the theme Preserving the Legacy, Prioritizing Access and Equity in Education. Minister Williams read to students at the Danny Williams School for the Deaf in St. Andrew.
When there's something in your life that you want to do, once you begin, you must follow through. It's not about talent or if you are smart. It's about never quitting something you start.
The Jamaica Information Service, JIS, led by Chief Executive Officer Enthros Campbell, also shared stories during a live stream earlier today.
Instead, Rooster's eyes were full of fear. Trouble was still not safe. The river was still rising. What was to stop it from covering the island in a short while? Suppose the boy drowned.
What if the doctor cannot fix me up? Can I still go back to your school, sir? Mr. Lee put his hand on Errol's head. Son, he said, there will always be a place in my school for you. But I have more in mind for you than that.
Jamaica and Guyana have signed a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, to strengthen mutual cooperation in the areas of media, mass communication, and public affairs. The signing took place on Friday in Guyana between Minister with Responsibility for Information, Robert Morgan, and Minister with Responsibility for Public Affairs, Kwame McCoy. The MOU will facilitate the engagement of knowledge sharing and capacity building across both countries. Minister Morgan asserted that partnerships within the region are important to establish practical frameworks that will build shared capacity through mutually agreed measures. He also indicated that the agreement will also facilitate technology sharing, best practices, content sharing, and cross-border communication between the two countries.
The Caribbean region should take the opportunity to initiate discussions that will further strengthen regional relationships on matters surrounding mutual cooperation between the agencies and departments of corresponding portfolio areas of state media, mass communications, and public relations. This can be done through the formation of CARICOM Information Ministers Forums, which will serve as a platform for strategic dialogue, collective action, negotiations, and harnessing the power of our collective voices for the purposes of equity, justice, fairness in the digital sphere.
And finally, plans are far advanced for the 10th Biennial Jamaica Diaspora Conference to be held in Montego Bay from June 16 to 19. That's the confirmation from Conference Chair Courtney Campbell. Mr. Campbell, who is also President and Chief Executive Officer of the VM Group, was addressing a recent JIS think tank.
We basically are saying, we're ready for you. Please register, book your flight, book your hotel accommodation, and make it to Jamaica for the 16th to the 19th of June.
Mr. Campbell says early bird registration prices are available until May 15. This can be done online via diasporaconferenceja.eventbrite.com. Meanwhile, Minister of State in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade, Alanda Terlong, says a key feature of the conference is a diaspora marketplace. This allows public and private sector entities and overseas business operators to share information on their products and services with conference participants.
As a government, we pride ourselves on diaspora engagement, and it actually forms a part of our national development policy. Our growth strategy underscores the importance of diaspora engagement, and so engage, connect, and empower our diaspora in the different parts across the world where they are.
The 10th Biennial Conference is being hosted by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Foreign Trade under the theme, United for Jamaica's Transformation, Fostering Peace, Productivity, and Youth Empowerment. And that's it for JIS News today. I'm Theodore Henry. Thanks for watching.
What's your identity? Do you know the details of your birth? Well, that's thanks to having a birth certificate. If you ever wondered about the process of obtaining this important document, you are in luck. We learn more next.
The Registrar General's Department, RGD, is an executive agency and Jamaica's sole repository of birth records. Every birth that occurs in Jamaica must be registered with the RGD. This establishes a permanent and official record of each person's existence, where they were born, and the identity of their parents. This affords the individual the right to an official identity and nationality, which is also the basis for accessing social and economic benefits. The registration process typically begins shortly after the mother gives birth in hospital or a birthing facility where the relevant form is completed by a registration officer. The process is complete once all relevant signatures are affixed to the document and the registration fee is paid. Some parents are required to do a follow-up visit with the RGD for one or more reasons. If the couple is unmarried, they may have to visit to have the father's particulars added to the form. If a child's name was not decided at birth, the parent must submit a certification of naming form. The birth certificate will be issued within 3 months for babies who were named in the hospital. Where the registration of birth is done digitally, the RGD also has the capacity to provide digital birth certificates so that parents will be able to leave the hospital with the document. Beyond bedside registration, to get a birth certificate, you must apply to the Registrar General's Department. This can be done online at www.rgd.gov.jm or by visiting any of the RGD's offices across the country. When applying, ensure that you have the following information for the person or child on whose behalf you are seeking the birth certificate: the full and correct spelling of the person's name, their sex, date, and place of birth, as well as the parish. You also need the birth entry number, full and correct spelling of the person's mother and father's names, date, and place of registration. If you don't have a birth entry number, you will need to fill out an online birth search application form. The birth entry number is on the top right-hand corner of the birth certificate, usually 2 letters and 3 or 4 numbers if you have an old one, and on the certificate of registry or the pink slip. Complete the application form and make the required payment for either the express or regular service using your credit or Visa debit card. The Registrar General's Department lists the costs for getting a certified copy of a birth certificate on its website. The current price to get the first copy is $1,500 Jamaican dollars. Additional copies will cost $500 each. Normally, it takes anywhere between 6 and 8 weeks to process a birth certificate application. However, you can make use of the RGD's 7 to 10 business days express service or 3 to 4 business days express service. If you are overseas, you also have the option of asking a family member or friend in Jamaica to assist you with getting the birth certificate. This option is usually less costly and tends to be the fastest route. Express applications for overseas customers are processed within 7 to 10 business days, and ordinary applications are processed within 4 to 6 weeks. All overseas customers will receive 2 copies of the certificate at costs based on the region in which they reside. If the child was delivered at home or any place outside of a hospital or birthing center, the parents must visit the RGD with an informant, that is, a witness or household member, to register the birth. Ideally, this should take place within 6 weeks of the birth or up to a year, the latest. Persons who fail to register their children's birth within the specified year will have to complete a late registration form. This then creates a record of the birth, which is needed before making an application for a birth certificate. Among the information required for completing the late registration form are your child's first primary or prep school records, baptismal record, 3 statutory declarations, a list of all children born to the mother, and a certificate of naming. A late registration fee of $6,000 is charged for processing in 4 to 6 weeks and $8,500 for 7 to 10 business days. Parents will be interviewed as part of the application process and will receive a birth certificate when the process is completed, with the standard RGD service cost and processing time applied.
Data from the National Road Safety Council shows that 90% of motorcyclists who die on our roads were not wearing a helmet. Don't let that be you. Wearing a helmet could save you and your pillion's life. In the event of a crash, the helmet can protect you against severe head injuries. Wearing a helmet can also help to reduce wind noise and light rays while driving. Let's work to reduce the carnage on our roads. Wear a helmet, ride safely.
At any intersection in life, there tends to be chaos and order. In this instance, we're talking about traffic lights controls. In our next feature, we get to go behind the scenes and learn how traffic signals on our roadways are controlled on a daily basis.
Traffic signal, as we refer to it as, it's a system of electronic controls that we use to assist in managing traffic at particular locations along our corridors. In managing the flow, there's a system. We have mast arms. We have the signal heads. Signal heads are what you see, the lights, whether green, amber, or red. We have wires that are connected to a control box. The control box has a number of components that assist us in managing the flows through the intersection or junction. Now, before we actually signalize an intersection or junction, we do traffic counts, so we know where it is the bulk of the vehicles are coming from or they're heading to. You want to have that information so that in setting the timings, in rehearsing the timings for persons to go through, you know what amount of green time you're going to be giving to a particular phase of the intersection as opposed to another. Our traffic signals, the systems are on a fiber optic network that is actually right across the country. So we have a combination of fiber and microwave links that we're using to roll out what we call a public safety network. And the systems that we have been incorporating our camera systems with these, and so we're able to monitor traffic through our traffic management center that we have at the corporate office 140 Maxfield Avenue, and it gives us the ability to change the timings that we have at these locations remotely. In other words, we don't have to have our officers physically go into the location, changing the timings.
In the Traffic Management Center, we have something called QuickNet. So in present day right now, this is what we use to remotely manage all traffic lights. What you're seeing on the screen now is a virtual display of what is in the cabinet at the intersection via our traffic camera. At the first display, you can see this is our Model 170 controller. This is what we use as a standard in Kingston. So right now you can see all the visual displays. This is what exactly you see in a traffic cabinet. Beside it, you see a graphical representation of what is happening at the stoplight. So at the cameras, you can see two through movements and a turning movement, moving from green to amber to red. And now you can see the two turning movements start. So you can see two turning movements and a left turning movement happening right now, as well as a forward turning movement at the next part of the intersection. So the graphic can show you the plan, the status, the cycle length, offset values, traffic statistics. So using this, you can see if the stoplight is working efficiently or not. So this will tell us if the stoplight is down, off, in any problem, whatever. So before people have to call and report a stoplight is down, with this system, when everything is integrated, you won't have to. You automatically know. What you're seeing now on the screen is a viewing of Halfway Tree area, the Kingston metropolitan area, where we can now monitor traffic remotely. So before, to put up a traffic light, somebody would have to go months prior and record the traffic data to put up a signal. Now we can have somebody here remotely counting traffic, as well as several different other specialized cameras to count the traffic for us. So specifically, we can look at specific intersections, say for this one example. If we see the traffic is building up, we can allot more time to a specific intersection to allow the through traffic to flow.
We have well over 100 locations across the country where we have signals, and the number continues to grow because every year we look at new locations to signalize. The demand is quite high, and the demand grows with the numbers of vehicles that we are seeing on our roads.
Money are your problem, car are your problem. Hey, whatever the problem is, just let it go, because stress is not a flex. A quick way to let go the stress is to find someone you can share your concerns with. And if you can't do that, then find other ways to release your stress, because stress is not a flex.
The Ministry of Health and Wellness has embarked on a journey to help our youth let go the stress, installing wellness benches in schools across Jamaica, setting them up as safe spaces for communication about mental challenges. If you can't find a seat on the bench, get a hold of this exercise to help you alleviate the stress.
First of all, I want you to think about the worst thing that offends you and upset you and you're uncertain about. Just think about it. And then, after 3, I want to transfer the stress from the brain into the ball, and it has to show on the face. 1, 2, 3.
Suicide is a tragic and complex manifestation of unbearable suffering that often stems from different factors in a person's life. There are usually common misconceptions about this. We explore them next.
Anyone who talks about suicide will not actually go through with it.
Some of them, talking about it, want to get help. But as they talk about it, they can move from talking to planning to executing the plan. So they must be taken seriously.
Persons will tell you that it is not necessary that they want to die by suicide, but they don't see themselves having a way out. And so that is why it is important to come alongside them and help them to find a solution.
Anyone who tries to kill themselves must mad.
A person who attempts to kill himself or herself should not be labeled as mad. There's a stigma associated with suicide in this nation that prevents people from getting help. We look down on people with mental health, and that's something that needs to change.
It is said that about 60% of our persons, or even more than that, have mental health challenges of one extent or the other. Are they crazy? No. They are having a difficulty. They're having some struggles with coping, and they need help to cope. So that is what needs to be addressed, and we need to debunk stigma, because that is why people will not try to get help.
If someone is determined to kill themselves, nothing is going to stop them.
Many times, persons who are at that place of feeling that I have to complete suicide, it is because they feel rotten on the inside or they feel hopeless. If one can come alongside them and help them to see that there is hope, they will change their minds.
And many of them have moved on to being able to manage their emotions, their hurts, and to get help. And some of them are even in the business of helping others. And we celebrate that.
People who commit suicide are people who are unwilling to seek help.
Many times the cries are there. Many times they are shouting out for help, but we ignore them. I want to ask you, the next time you ask somebody, how are you doing? Stop and listen so that you can hear what's going on in their lives. You could just hear the cry for help.
You can reason with them and help them to understand that what you're going through, you may be in the middle of your story and you can get help.
Talking about suicide may give someone the idea to do it.
We want to handle talking about suicide carefully. We should not romanticize it. We need to talk about it appropriately. And I say to us, never ever talk about suicide without directing the person to where they can get help.
The Ministry of Health has a helpline, and that is 888-NEW-LIFE. That is 888-639-5433. And also Choose Life International offers help. That is 876-920-7924. And there are many other counseling agencies where people can get help.
We talk about the causes, we provide reasons for help, and we have to manage that carefully.
If we talk about suicide and talk about how persons can be helped and how they can find hope, then persons are likely to reach out for the help and the hope. And that kind of conversation will not make them suicidal.
We're at the end of our program for today, but be sure to join us again tomorrow for another lineup geared towards providing you with information on the government's policies and initiatives for building a better Jamaica. You may visit our website in the meantime, gis.gov.jm, to rewatch this show or to catch up on others we have on the site. Until then, I'm Adrian Atkinson, and from all of us here at the GIS, thank you so much for watching.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.